Okay guys, I am back with another restaurant-inspired dish. These are my Better Than Chili's steak fajitas, and you are going to be amazed at how easy they are to make at home. Fajitas must be my husband's favorite Tex-Mex dish, and it's no surprise why. Tender, marinated steak is perfectly grilled, layered on warm tortillas, and served with your favorite toppings. The catch is that people think they can't make them at home, but that is so not true. I'm going to share with you my Better Than Chili's steak fajita recipe, and I'm going to prove that great Tex-Mex food can be made in your own kitchen. Now, my steak fajita recipe is just enough for two, and the first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to cut my sirloin steak into thin strips. Now, you can use lots of different types of steak here. Skirt steak, flank steak, those are very popular when it comes to fajitas, but I just chose to grab a pretty budget-friendly sirloin steak at the store. Now, in my opinion, the secret to a great fajita recipe is the marinade, and lime juice, fresh lime juice, is key. The acidity not only imparts great flavor, but it also tenderizes the meat. And speaking of flavor, the garlic powder, onion powder, chili powder, Cajun seasoning, and cumin are going to give you plenty of that. So I just added my strips of steak to a medium-sized bowl, and I'm going to put all of my marinade ingredients directly on my meat and give it a really good mix. Then I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit in the fridge for at least 2 hours for maximum flavor and tenderness. You could also do this the day before and let it sit in the fridge overnight, and it would be even better. Now, another way to ensure that you have the best tasting fajitas, much better than a restaurant, is to cook your meat on a charcoal grill. Charcoal is going to give your food a smokiness that just can't be replicated. But if you don't have a charcoal grill, I'm going to give you a couple of tips to try to mimic that great grilled flavor. If you don't have a grill at all, no worries. Just use a cast iron skillet or a stovetop grill pan to sear your steak and your vegetables. You'll still get that nice char, and you'll still get some smoke from the high heat from the cast iron. And if you want to add some extra smokiness, then put some liquid smoke in your marinade. And since I'm giving tips, I might as well give you a couple more. Make sure you use fresh lime juice if you have it. If not, I do have 2 recommendations. You can always use the bottled lime juice. It works in a pinch. But I've noticed that a true lime packet, which is something that I put in my Diet Coke or in my sodas, it's just crystallized lime in a package. But if I don't have fresh lime juice, I reach for that over the bottle. It is the real deal. Another tip about fajitas is that if you're running short on time or you just want a more hands-off approach, this is also a great recipe to make in a slow cooker, but I would definitely maybe char my vegetables before I put them in there if you want that depth of flavor, or definitely use some liquid smoke. Now I'm just cutting my vegetables in half. I'm cutting the bell peppers in half, and I'm going to cut the onions in half too because I want to put them on my grill, and I don't need them to be in strips right now or they would just fall through the crevices on the grill plate. So I need them to be really big, and then after I char them and get them smoky and delicious, I'm going to remove them from the grill and then cut them into strips. I'm actually doing an extra step here, and I'll explain it in a minute. And since we're here, why not have a quick little chat about some other options that you could use for your steak fajitas. Some other options besides sirloin is flank steak, ribeye, flat iron steak, and skirt steak. And just really quick, the flank steak is a cut of meat that's very similar to skirt steak, and they're both used very often in fajitas. But they have a lot of tough fibers running through the meat. They're very lean pieces of meat, but they really need to be marinated in order to tenderize, and they respond really well to high heat and quick cooking times, which is exactly what we're doing with fajitas. So my little charcoal grill is ready, and I'm just placing my veggies right over the hottest part of the grill because I want them to get this really nice char. So I'm going to do that not just on one side, but once I start charring, I'm going to move the peppers and onions around to make sure that each one of those guys get a chance at the hottest part of the grill. and they get that char all over, so even on the backside. And if you want to do chicken fajitas instead, no worries. Do the exact same thing, same measurements and everything. You can use chicken breast, or I prefer the chicken breast tenderloins because they're already small and they soak up more of the marinade and the flavor. All right, let me give you a couple of more reasons why this dish should be served at your kitchen table instead of at the small restaurant in town. Number one, it's an easy meal that can be ready in under 30 minutes on any night of the week. Now, to make this extra possible in case your week gets crazy, prepare the steak and the marinade the day before or before the day you plan to make your fajitas. Just let them sit in the fridge. The longer the steak or chicken marinates, the more tender and flavorful it's going to be. You can also pre-cut your veggies, keep them in the fridge, and then pull everything out the day that you want to grill. Now, I've moved my peppers and onions to the outer side of the grill, which is like indirect heat, because I want to put my steak right on the hottest part of the grill to get that nice sear. Now, back to my other reasons that you need to make this dish. At my house, this is a dish that the entire family enjoys. That is so rare for my crew that it is noteworthy. This dish lends itself to multiple types of protein, and that's great because my oldest son likes shrimp, my hubby prefers chicken, and I and my daughter like steak. I can mix all of those proteins and everyone at the table will be satisfied, and I will still only be making one dish for dinner. Once I get all of my steak on my grill in a single layer in the hottest part, I'm going to pop a lid on it because I want this, excuse the dirty lid of the grill. No worries, the inside of it is clean. But I want this steak and all of these vegetables to get this amazing smoky flavor. And that's what's going to happen under that lid. It doesn't take but just a few minutes, and then I'm going to remove everything from the grill and go inside. This is the extra step that I was talking about. The charcoal to me is incredibly necessary. You could go from this point at the grill straight to the table and have dinner. But I prefer to have my veggies just a little bit softer. So I'm actually going to take them inside, put them on a cutting board, and cut them into strips similar in size to my steak. They might be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to throw them in a cast iron skillet. Then once I get them in there, I'm going to add some water. And I'm going to put the cast iron skillet over super high heat. I have the stove as high as it can go. What I'm going to do is let my veggies soften with the water, and then after the water has completely evaporated out of the cast iron skillet, then I'm going to add in my steak. It's still really juicy and flavorful. It has a lot of that marinade on it, and I'm going to add the rest of my water. I believe it's half a cup, and then I'm going to let that steak and the strips of veggies cook together in the cast iron skillet over really high heat just for a moment, so that all of these flavors can marry together. Once the water has evaporated a second time, then it's time to serve your fajitas. I love to have toppings on the table like lettuce, sour cream, salsa, guacamole or avocado slices, jalapeno peppers, anything, shredded cheese for sure. Anything that you want on your fajitas, go ahead and have it laid out and bring this sizzling hot skillet to the table. As always, the complete recipe can be found on my blog. The link is in the description. You have to make this one, guys. You have to.